So there is a lot that is happening in South Africa, and one of it is across Africa there's been this wrong perception when it comes to finances and church. But if you were to read the Bible and see what exactly does the Bible say about finances and church, you'll see that the narrative that's going around there is very dangerous, and it is a threat to the ecosystem that the church is put on. If you listen to the words of Jesus himself, I want to show you that in this particular episode. So you may see that there is actually headlines right now going out, as you can see, an article that is written on IOL over here, where they are saying that the Goodhope, building sale renewal has started a different conversation now. People are now concerned that remember previously it was said that Pastor John Anoisike, right? Pastor John Anoisike had actually made a bidding thingy, and they were stating that they were talking about the whole subject matter of acceptance of the bidding and whatnot and all that, and they did an entire interview. There was an interview on it and all that. Now, if you remember, the issue that I mentioned pertaining this subject matter was, it's funny that this subject matter now started becoming around xenophobia. And I was like, I don't understand. The issue here is people that are illegal. That's the subject matter we are dealing with. We're not dealing with immigrants as a whole. It's not the subject matter. That's completely out of line. It is nothing. It is no place. Even when some of the March and March people were starting to talk about, all these pastors, we said, whoa. You are crossing the line now. Because now that's not the subject matter of what should be in your conversation. The issue is illegal immigration, people that are not on the system. Remember that there was a documentary there was an entire documentary that was made speaking pertaining to the subject matter. There were people that were not happy, blah blah blah, about the city. Why would the city sell to this pastor? But it was mainly on social media. And then I made a video addressing the audience of his church, because the way they were taking it, it was like us versus them. And I was like, that's the wrong energy to have pertaining subject matters happening out there, right? You remember that. Now, there is concern now, because now you will notice that bidding now has had new people interested in it. And it says from church to mosque. Nigerian pastors 130 million Goodhope Center deal is in limbo. It means it's teka-tekering. Shaky. It's on shaky waters, because now the mosques are now offering to purchase it up. Mosque is now approaching to purchasing it up. Now, this is why I wanted to address the subject matter of how the church is getting into a very wrong mindset pertaining the church. When you read the Bible, right, Jesus, there is something that comes up between him and the disciples after Jesus had sent the disciples. You'll remember in the book of Luke, chapter number 22, in the later on verses there. So if we open it up here, around the 30th verses or so, and all that kind of stuff, around here. Now, this is what Jesus says. Okay, Jesus answered, I tell you, Peter, before the cock crows, you will have denied me 3 times. Okay, you remember that. And then, verse 35, and Jesus asked them, when I sent you without parchment, bag, sandals, did you lack anything? Now, when they were sent, this is the thing. When they were sent by Jesus on the mission to preach the message of the gospel, he sent them with nothing That was actually a message to the body. That was a message to the body. So he asked, did you lack anything? No, we lacked nothing. Remember, when he sent them, he told them that to whoever you lend at, they will provide for you. That's how God's mission is for the message of the gospel. It is funded by believers. God's work is funded by believers. So now we have come to a place where there's financial difficulty. Yes, there is. There's all kinds of, yes, there is. There is exploitation. Yes, there is. But we must not change the method, the format that the scripture lays out because there is financial difficulty. The mission of God's work was literally in hand. It's not in the government's hand. It's not looking for, you see, like right now, if I am funded by government, they will dictate what I say. But if I'm funded by the church, there's no restriction to what I say. If a person came and said, Ricky, every single month I will fund your ministry, but leave these topics. It adds restrictions. This is why the mission of the gospel is not funded by an individual, it's funded by the church. It's funded by the church. This is actually telling you how God's mission is funded. So that's why I am completely not, you will not hear me on that particular. If you hear the episode that I made pertaining this subject matter of how the church raising funds, you know my position pertaining that. Okay? We must be very careful of adopting a worldly perspective pertaining this. Jesus asked his disciples, did they lack anything? Because their dependency on the mission being fulfilled was that they would be, when Jesus was born, how were his parents to survive when they were not in labor? They were poor parents. How were they to survive? He sends 3 messengers at the birth of the Messiah to give gifts that were supposed to sustain them. That's what those gifts were. Funny, I never noticed it until my mentor back when I was studying highlighted it. It was actually to supply, the gold was given to them so that it can help them sustain during the period when they were not in labor. We are hearing the wrong message and we are adopting a wrong mindset about ministry and how ministry functions. Ministry happens through the partnership of individuals outside. Now we are very clear already that about 70 to 80%, even up to 85% of the church are inactive. Yeah. You can call, like right now, I can call for a discipleship class. 30 people will come. 100 people will come. At most. At most. I mean, a video can go up to 100,000. Right? Or video invitations. I did it on multiple episodes. The max we reached was 500. And that was at the first, in the beginning. By the time we reached the end of those discipleship classes, 100 people were coming. 100 people were active. By the end of that, we had 5. we ended at literally under. We ended below that number. We ended at less than 25% of the people that had, not the people that had, no. 85% of the church is very inactive. There may arise needs of a church issues pertaining finances. I'm talking about your local congregation. Less of those people would be concerned about that whole purchase. And this is because we have adopted a wrong idea if you listen to what the verse says in the book of Luke, okay, Luke chapter number 22 tells you what funds the gospel is the people of God. But now, if you take here, he was talking about their protection, because he was about to leave, and he says, "I tell you that this may be fulfilled." He talks about them now having to now defend themselves because he was about to go away. But you will notice the idea of the calling of believers here in verse 35 is very clear. They didn't lack, because that calling, it's covered by the people that God gives. We should be very careful adopting a worldly mindset. The world continues to tell us this is wrong. Oh, you're giving offering to church. You're giving offering to the work of God. Yet they will keep telling you that it is wrong. But you have to see the scriptures, what the scripture says pertaining these subject matters. And if you do not really sit on it, I'm telling you, money will become the subject, not the gospel will not be that important. And I'm not talking about funding television channels. I'm talking about funding ministry. What sends the gospel out? We must be careful adopting worldly ideas, because there is a lot that the world says pertaining to the subject and they have no say in it. So we must be very clear about the mission of the church. There is a lot of people that would, why is the church always raising? Because they don't understand the model for how the church is funded is right in the scripture. The man has the calling, and the people are the ones that support that calling. That's how the Bible puts it. So this is important. Why? It's important we understand, what does the Bible say about this matter. It's not go to government. Jesus didn't send them to government. Jesus didn't send them to financiers. Jesus sent them to the people. He said, to the one who receives you. We must be careful being given worldly ideas pertaining to subject matters. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. It's the Reality Show. Other episodes done today, they'll be down in the pinned comments. And I hope this video reaches you so that you adopt a biblical mindset. He sent them with the calling, and the people were the ones that supported that calling.